This is Quakecast 62.
So in this episode, we are very pleased to welcome John Romero, who is co-founder of id Software, co-creator of Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, and Quake.
Wait, dump truck. Do we really need to go over all of these credits for John Romero? I mean, everybody knows who he is, right?
Well, maybe not the youngins out there, but
Okay.
Now, John has been involved with game development since he was 11 years old. And so he's a master, right? He's one of the masters of Doom. So, but his latest game is Empire of Sin, which is on Microsoft Xbox Game Pass. And,
hey, you can play it right now if you have Game Pass, which is really cool.
And also, I believe, I'm sure it's on Steam as well for purchase. So Empire of Sin is kind of like a gangster game, which sounds really cool.
Yeah, you can play as Al Capone.
Nice. That's awesome.
Well, Dump Truck, the funny thing about having John Romero on today is the fact that it's almost become a joke for him to be on the show. We do the next show, we'd say, hey, we're coming out with another show, and everybody would joke, oh, is it John Romero? Well, this time, it is John Romero.
What we usually do is we ask people, well, how'd you hear about Quake? But we kind of know how you came into Quake.
Yeah, it's different.
But I will say, so John, I'm 53, so I was in my 20s when the game came out, and I met quite a few friends on the Long Beach Durango server before Quake came out. Yeah, so Durango was something that was a really huge part of my life. I played a lot of Doom 2 on Durango.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that was so awesome. So yeah, I met lifelong friends, and we would have Quake parties. I didn't even call them LAN parties. We had Quake parties when Quake came out.
You know the Durango.exe program?
Yeah.
I wrote that.
I know. I think I recall you being deeply involved with creating that.
Yeah, as soon as I found out, as soon as Key and Bob contacted me and we talked about it and I checked it out at home, I was like, I want this to happen right now. So I immediately, started working on that at night with them, just making sure that it was going to be really great, because I wanted to play people randomly at 3 a.m, not have to call somebody. Like on the phone, hey, can you deathmatch? Just get into a lobby.
Right. Yeah. And for people listening, what Durango was just an easy, and I say quote, air quote, easy way to get your modem. It actually was pretty easy. You'd get in a small chat room that was, VGA, and, with like yellow, blue, and, with white text. It was very rudimentary, but you were able to chat, you were able to ready up, and then it would sync all the servers for you. It was a beautiful thing. So really kind of way ahead of its time. And then, Quake came along and boom, blew the doors off it. ArrCee, what should we ask John Romero? We've got the man, the icon of sin here.
Oh man, where to start here, John? There's so much to cover. One of the things that really was at the forefront of my mind, and something that was more recent that I kind of wanted to get your take on, was how Bethesda, and therefore id Software, is now a part of Microsoft. What was your reaction to that?
I thought it was great. What a great home to be in, versus ZeniMax, which is, just an investment company that was, collecting game companies to try and sell big, which they did, and that was the goal. But Microsoft, is the Xbox divisions that are to make games, and they've been doing it for a long time. And it was funny because Microsoft wanted to buy id back in the day, and so now they finally did it.
I'll get you one day, my pretty, right?
Yeah, that's basically.
That's very cool.
That is cool, and I assume that it's got to have something to do with Microsoft now being, at least from my point of view, they've been very, very gamer centric lately, like with Game Pass and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I noticed that one of your more recent games, actually, I think it's your most recent game, is actually on Game Pass, right?
Yep. Yeah, and it was amazing because the player numbers just went nuts when we got on a Game Pass. It was excellent.
Are you working on DLC, or has that
Yep.
been released?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're still working
Yep.
on that. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. And wow, yeah. So now I have not played Empire of Sin, but I know it was kind of Brenda's baby, and then
Yep.
it's like a family affair, and the whole gang jumped in there. It was I just saw the Jaffe interview yesterday in
Oh, that's great.
preparation. Yeah, you guys had a blast and really
Yeah.
great stories and everything.
Yeah. We have the DLC coming out this year, so when it comes out, I mean, there's a lot of really great additions to the game, but the DLC is gonna be pretty cool when it hits. A lot of really good buzz, so we're excited to get it out there.
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
And one of the other things I was thinking of too is, when you guys announced this game coming, I saw the reactions from people because, for some reason, John, your name is synonymous with FPSs. I don't know why, but
yeah, it's weird. What's up?
Yeah.
I know.
So when you
Random.
announced this game, though, everybody had like kind of a weird reaction to it, but, what was that like for you, seeing the reaction to this announcement?
Well, I mean, I knew that. That's obvious. But the funny thing is, before it, and even after, after Ion Storm, I've made tons of other kinds of games. Like one of the
Yeah.
biggest games that I've ever made is a Facebook game.
Right.
Right.
Massive game. So yeah, I've done, even id Software before we made, Wolfenstein, we made puzzle games and all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
So, I'm just used to making all kinds of different things. And then bam, we made the shooter, and then we made a bunch of shooters. And then later on, I worked on a lot of things. I even worked on an MMO for 4 years.
Right.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, and you're like I remember back in the day when you guys were white, id was white hot, and Doom was out, and Quake was out, and everybody, like all my pals, all my gamer buddies were just like, can you imagine just sitting around and I know this is not what you did, but this was our perspective. Can you imagine like sitting around the office death matching all day long? And I work nights, and we grabbed Doom 2, and it was a Mac network actually. And
Cool.
We bought the Mac version of Doom 2. All of us did, and networked late at night at work. We were pretty naughty, but it was awesome times. But well, I wanted to ask you about, because I don't really hear people ask this of you. Quake wasn't what you had first imagined it. You guys had that meeting in '95 where you said, okay, we're doing a shooter, gonna throw all the ideas out. What would Quake what would that feel like and be like if you had your way? Like if you had been able to do it, what would that resemble? What would that feel like?
I think it was maybe in 2007. I can't remember if it was 5 or 7, but when Darksiders came out, I was like, oh my God, that's it.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's
no
what
kidding.
we would have done.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think I even posted about it. I was really excited when that game came out, because I was just like, that's what we would have been concepting, just trying to see if the game would have, if that would be a way to make the game, if it felt good and everything. But it was more like looking forward to game design exploration with that full 3D engine and those original ideas to see if it actually felt good. So yeah, we just didn't. The team wasn't in the headspace to do that at the time. But Darksiders, when it came out, I was just like, wow, that was it.
That's great to hear, because I've definitely have not played that, so I got to check that out, because that would be fun to kind of imagine the alternate universe where I'm playing Quake the way it's supposed to be. But I mean, it's ironic because we're very aware as fans that Quake was difficult. It was a troubled kind of development. Kind of destroyed, didn't destroy it, but it was an end of an era, I think you've said before. And but I was talking to my wife, and we've been in the entertainment industry, we've worked on movies and things, and I know it's not the same as crunch, but it is kind of soul crushing hours, and a lot of egos and a lot of tension and a lot of stuff. So did you, like, when Quake was finished, were you so excited to just be out of there that it didn't affect you, or was it kind of hard to bounce back from almost 7 months of crunch time? Like,
the funny thing about the crunch is that it was 7 days a week. It was like 12 hours, usually 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, I think I took 2 weeks off after we launched. And then when I came back, I created the retail masters for the CDs that they wanted to put, the locked versions of our games on the CD and everything that everyone cracked immediately.
Right.
They wanted to put that, that was going to be the Quake CD. So I mastered those things. And when I, like after I left, it was really weird because I'd been there for years, and that I was excited about starting this new company, and working with Tom again, because Tom was super fun. He's positive, like he was excited to be able to do that as well. But it was also sad that I was leaving, or that I left, but like had just come out with a really great game, and so that's good to leave on a note like that. But it was sad that I left. It was really weird because it was like two things at one time. Luckily, I didn't just jump right into working immediately on another game. It was basically investigating the possibilities. And I remember after my plan note, that I posted basically saying that I'm leaving, the very next day, Tim Sweeney and I think Mark Rain flew to my house, and they came over to convince me to come over and to Epic, and they stayed the night at my place and everything.
Oh wow.
And then like 2 days later, Activision flew us out to Beverly Hills, and we stayed in like the most expensive room at the Beverly Wilshire, and it was pretty crazy. So it was a lot of really crazy stuff happening, but it was sad that it ended up that way. And it was just one of the toughest things about that meeting in 1995 was the fact that the people who were either on the fence or on my side were the people who founded the company and had been through multiple entire game dev cycles, and the people who were just broken had never done that at the company yet. So it was like the inexperienced people are the ones who were not ready for like what it takes when you're doing R&D in a brand new space like that. But the rest of us have been doing R&D for years, so we were used to it. So yeah, it was just a weird time. I think Carmack just didn't want me in the company, so that's probably one reason why he didn't jump on my side.
Right. So he kind of put his foot down and said, "Hey, we're doing a shooter, and that's it." That's just,
nope.
No.
He said he's on the fence. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
He was on the fence, and then it was just like, well, if this is the way it is with everybody not being on the same side, we have to go with what the easiest thing is that this team can execute. Right. We can't spend even more time doing R&D. We need to just actually make something and get it done. So that means a shooter.
Was there any talk of like, well, why don't we just do a Doom 3 and just put this on the shelf and wait, delay it, because there's delays all the time now. But back then you were trying to hit the holidays.
It was delayed.
Right.
I mean, Quake was already delayed. Yeah, I remember Carmack really wanted it to ship for Christmas of '95, I think, but there was no way because the engine wasn't even close. Right. And we would not have done a Doom 3 because we'd never done a 3. We've always done a sequel, boom, next game. And the sequel was always the retail version of the game. So the first thing that we put out is the shareware version. Sequel is retail, boom, next IP. So we wouldn't have done a Doom 3. And I don't know when we ever would have. If I had stayed at the company, we would have probably still kept on making brand new stuff after a sequel.
Man. It's
wow,
it's so
wow,
funny
what
to
could
hear
have
as a
been.
fan. Yeah, what could have been, but hey, things work out the way they're supposed to. So, but
Oh, of course, yeah.
John, I I have a Discord, or I'm part of a Discord called, which is a Quake mapping Discord, and we focus on helping new people get into mapping and tutorials. And we forgot to tell you that I have a YouTube channel with tutorials for Quake mapping and miscellaneous stuff. And then but ArrCee, tell them what you have, like almost 300 episodes of a Quake kind of
Yeah,
episode.
I just do Quake playthroughs of user created maps and that kind of thing. We're almost
Oh,
on
okay.
episode 300 at this point. Yeah, we do
Wow.
let's plays for that, and been doing it for quite a while, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been amazing to see what everybody has been creating, even over the course of the past 10 years. Have you been kind of keeping up on what the users have been creating out there for Quake?
Well, not the early stuff, but obviously Arcane Dimensions is like was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are other groups out there making some really cool stuff that I'm looking at. But I don't I don't spend a lot of my time looking at user levels, just because
Hmm.
I have so much stuff happening constantly every day.
Right.
You know, it's crazy. And it's basically like that for years, because it's like if I'm not doing one thing, it's like I'm trying to make something else. I'm trying to create another game, or I'm trying to do something like that, putting something out. So yeah, I haven't, but I know that when something like Arcane Dimensions comes out, and when I see the screenshots, of it, I'm just like, that looks so good. It's too bad we couldn't have made that when we put Quake out, the first time.
Right.
But it's there's just no way. There's so much work just making the game, trying to define what it's going to be, because Arcane Dimensions and everybody else's stuff is based on what Quake 1 was.
Hmm.
But Quake 1 wasn't anything when we were starting to make it,
Right.
So we
Right.
had to define that aesthetic, and then people can just like take what we made as a very, very base, crude aesthetic and really do something amazing with it, and design stuff that's just looks like you want to be there, Um, yeah, so
Right.
yeah, I love mapping. I mean, mapping that's made the first 3D maps in games, uh,
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
and
Crazy.
in the editors, writing the editors for them. Um, but yeah, it's like Doom Builder 2 is amazing as well. I know this is a Quake thing, but
Sure.
even that editor for making maps is amazing, and just
Hmm.
blows away the Doom
Oh,
editor that I wrote.
yeah, there's some really crazy tech, out there. I'm sure you've seen Trenchbroom.
No, that's the best. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and that leads me kind of to the other question. And I want to, put you on the spot or what have you, but I know you did Sigil, and it was, fantastic and extremely hard. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's a lot of overlap with the Doom and Quake community. A lot of people come over from Quake, or from the Doom mapping community to the Quake community. So there's plenty of overlap,
it's time to grow up,
but
son.
yeah, exactly. Well, and you know what? Honestly, to me, what I love about it is you're talking about defining Quake and the feeling of the games do feel so much different. I mean, they really do.
Yeah,
You've got so much atmosphere, and it's much spookier. Sound plays a bigger role, lighting, and especially lighting. That's my favorite aspect
yep,
of it.
yeah,
So, and then the modern stuff is even more powerful. It takes, ambient occlusion and all that stuff. So there's some really cool stuff that's been going on for 25 years. Now, I'm going to kind of mention this. I hope I don't anger you, but Brenda did post on Twitter years ago a screenshot of Trenchbroom and a map. We don't
yeah.
exactly know who was making that map, but we were suspecting it might have been you. So is there any possibility there might be something for Quake in the future?
What's funny? I think that what that was me loading a Daikatana map.
Hey, it's
But it,
supported. You can make maps for it.
That's
but I
great.
know,
Yeah.
but it was loading a level that isn't out there. It's not a Daikatana
Right.
level, but
Oh,
it was
cool.
made for Daikatana, but never was
Nice.
in the game. Um, just to see like if it would load up, and of course it's referencing textures that were never in the game, so
Right.
it can't actually like draw good looking stuff. But I think that's what that was.
I
But
got you.
Trenchbroom is really great. I really like playing around with it, and it's something I'm definitely interested in.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we'll be all ears if you decide to do
Yeah.
something, even if it's just a deathmatch map. Now, have you checked out the Quake re-release at all? Did you see, like, have you
I
fired that up?
I didn't run it. I think I got it, but I didn't run it. I think what they did was, didn't they just update the Steam version of Quake that was out there?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you have it, you already have it. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
another executable, like a radio button you press and say, go for the re-release. Well, what they did was really tastefully done. They use Kex as a wrapper, so that they could do localization and a couple other kind of modern gamey things. But it's pretty
Hmm.
cool. You could jump in and do co-op really quickly. It's so much better than the alternatives, much easier and everything. And then there's a brand new episode, which is Dimension of the Machines, and we interviewed those guys in our last episode, and really fun stuff. Like, you want to see some really high end kind of Arcane Dimensions stuff, like definitely worth your time.
Nice.
Yeah, so good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, and you still, like, I know Death Jam is coming up. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but as someone, the
Yeah.
person
It's
who
on Friday.
the person who
Oh,
connected
cool.
us is Saul Brox. Or Sal. I'm sorry, Sal Brox. He is, I believe, in Dublin, and he was pinging me today saying, "Hey, don't you have the interview?" So he hooked us up with Brenda, and Brenda got us the interview. So thank you, Saul Brox. And he says that he can't wait to get his ass kicked in DM7, or not. Hopefully not DM7 this time. So
I
you
love
kicked his
7.
ass.
I love 7.
Yeah, that's a crazy. So now, did American McGee make that one, or
Yeah,
Tim,
well,
or so?
so what happened is Americans started that map, while we were making Quake, when we were kind of near the last probably 2 months, I think 2 months before we shipped, because American wasn't there the last month. So he had made a piece of a map, and what the map was basically just the four walls of the outside walls with water and the center cube, and all not much else, just some platforms. But so it was like the idea of what this could be, and then I think that what is his name? I think it's Misha the Sled Dog. Elliot. Yeah, his name is something Elliot, JD Elliot or something like that. I think he may have finished that map, and it was just classic, And the other level that we play a lot in the office is Corpse Yard 2A, CY2A, that Tom Hall made while he was at Iron Storm.
Huh, I gotta
It
check
is
that one out.
such a good map. Oh my god. It's yeah, you just got to play it. It has so much secret stuff in it. It's really simple. It's 2 floors basically. It's 2 levels, lots of airspace, lots of rocket jumping everywhere, and it's amazing. Just the cat and mouse crap that goes on in that level. It's
That's the
yeah,
best.
it's not like DM7, because with DM7 you can just destroy somebody as soon as you control it. Like you just are sitting in the center, and just like you hear where the spawn is, they're dead basically, because it's everything that's kind of around you. CY2A isn't like that. Like you can totally hide. You can like spawn and hide. You can run. You can like go underneath the place. It's you just got to try it out. It's got invulnerability and invisibility and all that stuff. The quad is like the coolest thing to get, but so you're just in the most, the worst place to get it, because everyone will just destroy you if you try to get it. But it is a really great one-on-one map. For not for free for all, it's insane. One-on-one, it's really fun.
Yeah, and I think I heard you say that you kind of gravitate towards kind of a one-on-one type of matches, and that's
Always.
kind of my kind of thing too. Uh, and it's weird. I did make a map a long time ago called Rubicon, and it was kind of just super rudimentary. I wasn't much of a mapper. This was back in the 90s, but I thought I did a pretty good job. I'm gonna send it your way. Just you don't no obligation, but I will send it your way for a Death Jam, or I'll send it to Salbrox or something. But
I think that was a song by Journey.
Yeah, yeah. There's all kinds of names for that one, but no, that's really cool. I love how passionate about you are about death matching and how you still do it. By the way, I downloaded CY2A
at our office before COVID happened. Every day at lunch, many people played Quake Deathmatch free for all.
Nice.
Like every day for years. And then on Thursday nights, I would have a 3-hour tournament with my lead programmer, who is better. Like he's like one of the best in Ireland. And he's so much fun. And I just scream at him. Just scream. It's the only time I ever scream is playing deathmatch with him at night, in the office. And I mean screaming. Like we have a chair. We have a chair covered in all the shit that I say. That's just written all over the chair. It's so funny. Because I make stuff
let's hear
up
a
all
sample.
the time.
Let's hear a sample. What's a sample?
You know what? You have a video of it.
Oh, cool.
Brenda records me doing it. It's pretty
That's
funny.
Hilarious.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I've definitely thrown my mouse across the room plenty of times. I never talk trash because I suck. I mean, the only game I was remotely good at in multiplayer was Soldier of Fortune 2, because we played the hell out of it. And then when I went back to Quake 3 with the rail, I never even used the rail before, and I realized, why am I so good with the rail? And it was because I had been playing SOF2, where you have like kind of not pixel perfect, but you had like location damage as opposed to hitbox.
The thing about Soldier of Fortune, I love that game, but the one thing about the game that broke it, even though I loved it and I played the entire game and beat it and everything, the thing that broke the game, at least in single player mode, is when you peek around a corner, they can't see you and you can just see everything. Right. Like you stick your head around the corner and you can see all this stuff and none of the enemies can see you. It's as if you never actually moved, but somehow your eyeballs are invisible and they're going around the corner and you see everything and you can shoot people, but they can't see you. And it just makes the whole game so easy. So I just basically, it is. And it was built in. It wasn't like a cheat that you installed. It was just the peek around the corner was the broken part of the game that made it really easy. But it was great. I loved the whole ghoul system that they put in there.
Oh yeah, it was spectacular. I mean, it just brought it up to the next level. But I really enjoyed the briefcase, multiplayer, and we played the hell out of that thing.
Nice.
But we played a hell of a lot of Quake. Like I said, we know. And it's funny, ArrCee and I both kind of started off in the 90s playing multiplayer, because that was really where the game really, the single player was great and very moody and atmospheric, but back then there kind of wasn't as big a scene as there is now for mapping single player. Yep. So multiplayer was really the focus, Rocket Arena and all that. And
you could get maps done pretty quick for multiplayer too.
Yeah.
Because single player takes a long time.
Exactly. It's a commitment. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so it's totally topsy-turvy now, because we do have hardcore people in Europe, and there are a few communities like in the Southwest and Southern United States where there are communities, but there's not that many people playing multiplayer, hardcore, like Quake World kind of stuff. So now it seems like there's way more people playing single player, which is weird.
Wow.
But yeah.
Have you heard of Lord Lame?
Lord Lame? No, I don't think so.
He streams Quake Deathmatch every single day for years.
Oh, I'm gonna he's
gonna be he'll be at the Death Jam.
He's perfect.
Cool.
The best player. He, like, the people that are like legendary to us when they come and play, and they just kill everyone. They bunny hop everywhere, like stuff like that. The Lord Lame wipes them down. It's crazy. I can't wait. It's just fun watching these people. They bunny hop from a standstill. Like, it's instant. They're so good.
Wow.
And then having those, having people who are that good facing off against each other, it's like a real, it's a real esport.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's one of those things, like it feels like Doom is the same way. Quake, they have just such tight controls. Like you say, like you've said, the second to second kind of moment to moment gameplay.
Yeah.
You guys just nailed that. Like you could sit down and play Super Mario Brothers, and it still feels awesome. It doesn't feel like you're playing you're playing a classic, and that's how it feels with Quake.
Yeah.
It's just classic. You could, if it was just polys on the screen, it would still be awesome. Just ugly, nasty polys.
Well, yeah, the gameplay is really good because when esports started, people would postage stamp their screens and make the map as garbage as possible just for the FPS.
Right.
Like it didn't matter what it looked like. What mattered was that gameplay.
They get that extra frame per, like one tiny frame per second or something.
Yeah, but what's funny is, one of the guys that is extremely hardcore, he brings a CRT to these tournaments because he has a laptop, and the laptop has a built-in screen. He plugs in a VGA CRT into his laptop, and the VGA screen is smoother than the built-in LCD.
Wow. Yeah,
which gives him faster reaction time because he's showing us he's just moving left and right, and the CRT is just smoother than the built-in screen. Unbelievable. And so he has better reaction because he can see the reaction faster on a CRT. We're talking 70 frames versus 60 frames.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy. But he uses a ball mouse from the 90s.
He does.
A Logitech ball mouse and a CRT, and he destroys people.
That's awesome. And is that the one with like the thumb? That's like he's got like
buttons. No, it's a regular mouse, just a 2-button mouse.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
ball, like a mechanical.
Yeah, with an actual ball underneath it. Yeah.
Wow, that brings me back.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last time I used one. My God.
Yeah.
Usually when I got mad, the ball ended up inside the mouse.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I think I've been there a few times for sure. But yeah, I went to QuakeCon in 2007, and some guy talked me into playing Quake 4 multiplayer, which is for whatever. He just I didn't even get a frag, and I was like, he's all, "Hey, we'll play again." I'm like, "No, dude," because he was across the table from me in the BYOC, and I'm like, "No, dude, no. That's just that's not fun."
Yeah, it's like I remember when Thresh came over to my house, and it was after a QuakeCon. And he had just won basically, and I had a 5 deathmatch setup at home on a LAN, and so Quake was basically running there. He got on there, and he destroyed everybody, and we mostly never saw him. That's how good he was.
Wow, that's insane.
He basically teleported, like we're playing DM1, which no one plays, but back then when Quake is just starting, people were playing DM1, and
sure.
And so what he did was he would just jump into a teleporter and just toss a ton of grenades out and just pop back in and go somewhere else, and the grenades are killing everybody. He's not even there. He's throwing grenades at you, running away from the grenades he just tossed in. It's crazy. Wow. Yeah, he was so good. He destroyed all 4 of us. Just it wasn't even fair. He's so good.
Oh my God! Yeah, Thresh.
Well, here's the thing. Now I'm jealous, not because you created Doom and stuff, but now that you're having a LAN party this weekend. Now I'm really jealous.
I know.
I had him for years, and I have a detached kind of garage in the back that's all finished off, and we put RJ45 in the walls.
Nice.
For LAN parties, and I had scores and scores and scores over the year, but. Now my kids do it, they've taken over, and their buddies, they'll do it once a year, but it's so crazy. It's such a different vibe when you're at a LAN, it's so much fun. Very kind of the whole game jammy kind of feeling, that kind of thing. It's got that kind of vibe to it, but
where people spend the first hour just trying to get everything feeling right.
Yeah.
And back in the 90s, it was spending an hour getting the IPX drivers working.
I know. I remember when I had a pretty decent job when Quake came out. So I built 2 identical, I think P133s or P166. I can't remember what it was, but it was that coax, nasty.
Oh, I know, with Terminators and shit.
Oh my God, it was horrible. I barely got it working. Once I got it working, it was party. Oh yeah, BNC connectors. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, once we got it working, it was fun, and I could have like my buddy that I met on the Dwango server would come over on his lunch break, and because I work nights, so he'd come over on his lunch break and we'd deathmatch for an hour, and then he'd bail and go back to work. But oh, those days, such beautiful things. But well, so I wanted to ask you about just a couple more funny kind of Quakey things. I don't know if you've seen. Sandy Peterson has his YouTube channel now, and he's doing all kinds of goofy, crazy videos. They're good, they're entertaining. And he talks about RPGs and his company. And he did have a Quake one, and he talked about the giant zombie boss and the that was going to be a boss, and you guys scaled up one of the zombies, or you?
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. So I kind of want to get your take on those things, but also he's alleging that you nerfed the Vorballs because they were too hard. Do you remember that? Do you know what he's talking about?
Are those a spawn?
Yeah, not the spawn, the Shalrath. Sorry, Shalrath.
Oh,
the ball, the spike balls that they shoot at you.
Yeah, they were so like you were dead
slower.
if they hit you.
Right, they were super slow, right?
They were fast originally, right. And I believe, like I used that as a boss in episode 2 E2M6, and I had 2 of them, I believe, on that level. Almost like Doom 1's double Baron of Hell attack.
Right.
And it was, having 2 of them shooting those balls out and the damage on those things. It was like, I like the damage of those, but the speed of it just made it like you just went this whole way. That level is long, and you get to the end right there, and you just get instantly destroyed as soon as the Shalrath is the Vor, right?
Right.
As soon as that's revealed, and they start shooting those purple spiky balls at you, and if you're not hidden behind that pillar or around the corner, you're dead, and you just went that whole way. And now you got to get the center rotation of that thing right, to get across, because a lot of people don't know how to just rocket jump over there. So so it was I had to nerf it some because it was like slow it down. It was just too much. I wanted to have 2 of those guys in there because I knew that that was just going to be a normal mini boss later. So I wanted to make sure that it was like, well, still as a mini boss, it needs to be tough and not oh, I just heard a sound and I'm dead.
Right.
Right.
So that's what that was.
If you look back on all those Quake maps you made, what's the one like? I'd say single player, because I'm assuming like DM3 is such a great map. I'm guessing that's your favorite DM map. But out of the single player maps, like what is your kind of baby that you're like, it turned out, the one that you love?
I'd say 5 Wizards of Mance. That one's
Wizards of Mance, yeah.
Yep, that one, and 3, the Crypt of Decay. The Wizards of Mance, I liked I liked it the most because of that the triple bridge in the center. That's kind of, you're going from one side of the castle to the other side of the castle, multiple times, and then at the very end you have this terrifying submerging in water, killing you basically right at the end, and terrifying the player about, like they think they're gonna die because it's a really long trip and there's no way out of it, and then you come out and get healed up, but like terror.
Right. Then, I remember that.
That was for me, in the little platform areas over the green sludge and stuff. I thought it just had a lot of really fun stuff, and it was just like you had to be careful. It was almost, not quite Tomb of Horrors for Quake, but it was like, a little bit scary in some places like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of twists and turns. You got a ton of secrets and guys kind of hiding, ogres and stuff. It was funny. And last year I did a kind of a remix of episode 2 map 4.
Oh, cool.
And,
I like that one.
I did Dismal. It with Dizzle Oblate, I think. Yeah. So it was just one of those
things. Oh, the
Ebon
Fortress. That's the Ebon Fortress.
Right. Yeah, Ebon Fortress. Right.
6 is Dismal. All right.
Right. So I did what I did is I took the map source and I kind of opened up some areas, and I have a mod that I've been working on, like a dev kit. So I added some things from that, some features and things.
Cool.
And it was just kind of, like I have, like at the very end, when you kill the fiends and the gate opens, when you shoot the 3 buttons.
Yeah, 3 buttons.
What I did is I have a happy birthday kind of appear out of the wall. I have all this debris flying off breakables and stuff. So it was just something I did over the weekend and really quickly. But then, so for this year, I looked at Wizard's Mance and I was like, oh shit, I should have started this like months ago. This would have been this, like, to do it right. Cause that one was kind of just down and dirty.
Yeah.
Just kind of a little different lighting and some kind of all alcoves with different monsters and things. I didn't change a whole lot, but this Wizards of Mance, I was I'm going to do a cool remix and kind of add some new stuff. And I'm like, oh God, this is going to take me forever. So maybe next year for 26, I'll get started earlier. Right.
When I started, when I started Iron Storm, I remember when I came up with the idea of doing a speedrun challenge on E2M5, and I posted it on the Iron Storm site, and E2M5 was the map that I was like, my fastest was 1 minute 5 seconds. I was like, all right, everybody, beat this. And people were beating it. And, and I couldn't believe the fastest player did it in 40 seconds.
Wow.
No way.
And the thing is, he avoided that whole underwater section by going to where the button is. He had to get to that point where he could press the button, because that button press is an unlock for the last wall that's keeping you from the exit. He rocketed himself backwards off the button, got himself stuck in the door, took the damage, like he jumped over the healths that were before it, took the damage, and then healed right up and just rocket jumped his way all the way through the exit.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Because I remember kind of playtesting that and getting I was like, what? I'm so terrible at this game. You got you got ogres and fiends all in this small little area. So it's crazy. That's awesome though. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
Well, ArrCee, I don't want to dominate all this.
No, you're fine. Honestly, I wanted to pipe in and just let John know, hey, we want to be respectful of your time here, because I know we're going over the half hour here. But I just got one more question for you here, if you don't mind.
Okay. And then I got to go right after that.
Yep, not a problem. So this should be an easy one, but outside of Doom and Quake and other FPSs, I was curious, what game or game series do you always find yourself going back to play?
Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon's the one.
Yeah.
The OG, or just the whole series?
Well, not the whole thing. Like, the original was amazing and still is super fun and terrifying, even though it's like really low res. But Breakpoint, I've been playing the hell out of Breakpoint. Wildlands is really fun, but Breakpoint is really the it's so different than the arcadey feeling of Quake and Doom, Eternal and 2016 and all that stuff. It's totally, because it's tactical, it's totally different.
Right.
And it's intense.
Yeah, especially if you play in immersive mode in Breakpoint, then you don't have a HUD anymore, and what you hear is what you know is around you, because there's no indicators for anything anymore, so it's real life. And that makes it really scary. It's the best. It's not a looter shooter anymore. Like, you go into immersive mode, it throws away looter shooter, it gets rid of all HUDs that you would have for letting you know where anything is. And it makes it like you're really there. Like, if you walked out into a field, you wouldn't be able to see HUDs on what's around you. So
sure.
It's like that, and you can't change your weapons. You're limited in all kinds of stuff. So it's like really real. It's pretty realistic, and it's really fun. It's not like milsim realism, because then it's not fun. But you can, heal yourself up with injections and stuff like that. But
I can only imagine like some of those little rovers, like going up against those without some of the, being able to know where they are and in the forest and around the hills. That'd be crazy.
It's awesome. Yeah.
I got to try that.
Yep.
Cool. That's awesome.
Well, awesome, John. We want to thank you for your time, man.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. I really appreciate your time, and, keep making games, and we'll be following you. And I did talk to Brenda on Twitter years ago about Galway, because my wife and I, when we retire, we're going to get the hell out of California. So we might come say hey and poke our heads in and say, yeah, dude. So thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
So a big thank you to John Romero for joining us on this episode. And also thank you to Brenda Romero, Saul Brox, and Rebecca for kind of making this interview kind of come together. So thank you all for your help on this. Also, thank you to Michael Markey for this fantastic theme music.
Yep, and like Dump Truck, I want to thank everybody as well. And I want to thank Dump Truck for having me back on the show here, too. It's been fun being back. I love it. And we'll see you all in the next Quakecast.